Hi guys, today we're going to talk about Stellar, aka XLM. I titled this video How Stellar Got Its Groove Back, and I borrowed the name from this old movie. Some of you guys may know this movie called How Stella Got Her Groove Back. And I titled this video because of the main points that I saw in the dream, which dealt with a little bit of Stellar's history. Like I saw a little bit of Stellar's history and where Stellar plans to go from that history. All right, so the dream is on the right of the video. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm gonna look at my other monitor so I can see it better. I wrote it down on February 13th when I had the dream on February 12th. It said Stellar was a person and they were sick and is now recovering. So in the dream, I saw Stellar as a person and I couldn't remember whether it was a man or a woman, but I saw a person that they were sick and then they were recovering from that sickness. That's one. And then right after that dream, I had another dream, literally back to back, where it said they tried to hold Stellar back and now Stellar is coming up. Stellar is coming back up from that um, setback. And I don't want to just say a setback, but it felt like people were trying to hold Stellar back. I don't know what other ways to put that, but it seems that Stellar is no longer being held back, and I'm not really sure the reasons why. But I don't know if it's just that they've broken free or it's just a matter of time and maybe there were certain agreements in place. I have no idea. But anyways, I tried to see if there was any connection with what I was dreaming, and I went and googled. The first thing I went and googled was the founder of XLM ever sick? The second thing that actually came up that I found was interesting was this forum called Quora. And within that forum, um it has this title of why did Jed McCaleb leave Ripple to start Stellar? This was interesting because I'm going to post that link down at the bottom of the video. But this forum actually has um, Jed McCaleb arguing with another person that I believe was part of Ripple's group, because Jed was a co-founder of Ripple, who's now affiliated with XRP. And it seems like they had this quarrel. There was actually a fight between them, and it almost sounds like, now do not quote me, I can only tell you what I saw on the forum where these two were actually arguing. The literal founder of XLM was literally arguing with people that were still on or affiliates or associates with Ripple. And what I found interesting was this was something that was written 7 years ago. 7 years ago, they were arguing and bickering back and forth. Um, so I thought that was really weird, really interesting, and it kind of corroborated that there was some kind of hold for Stellar. So I'm gonna read that on the next slide. But it almost felt like the founders of Stellar were being ousted from Ripple, even though they were initial co-founders. So that was very interesting. So this starts off, I'm going to read to you how it starts off, and I'm only doing all of this background so you guys can see the corroboration of the dream. This seems to be the person that still works at Ripple. As you can see, they're called CTO at Ripple. I did not get to Google what CTO means. But anyways, it seems like this was updated 7 years ago, and David Schwartz talks about Jed, which is the current founder of XLM. It says, Jed had a long string of bad ideas that Ripple's board of directors refused to implement. So Jed started Stellar. Based on those ideas, Jed wanted Ripple to do a Facebook giveaway. Ripple would not do that, so that was one of the first things Stellar did. The giveaway was generally considered a disaster. As it became clear that each of its rejected ideas were bad, Stellar pivoted to become a clone of Ripple. Jed tried to dump his XRP quickly, and Ripple acted to stop him through a series of lawsuits. Thanks to Ripple's refusal, Jed's XRP will probably be worth more than 1 billion. He will probably be the only person to become a self-made billionaire despite his best efforts. Um, when companies solicit investors, those investors get shocked with voting rights. Some of them get seats on the board of directors, and you bring on smart people to help make you to help make good decisions. Heck, Jed bought in Chris to be CEO. Jed's reaction to not getting his way on those issues was to publicly say bad things about the company and start a competitor. IMO. Unless you think the company is doing something illegal or severely immoral, betraying your investors and employees that way is unconscionable. Note that this is not a comment on what Stellar is doing now or the likelihood of its success. And then I kind of like cut it off. It was just like a little bit more of a snippet, but this is literally David Schwartz coming at Jed, the founder of Stellar. You can clearly see there were some issues in the past, and I think it ended up um, making Jed, the founder of Stellar, leave Ripple when when they were initially co-founders of Ripple. So I don't know if they are the reasons why I saw in the dream that they tried to hold Stellar back. Um, and now they're recovering, or now they're coming up. So the first dream was about Stellar being sick, and the next dream was about um people trying to hold Stellar back, and now Stellar's on this come up. So listen to Jed's reply. Okay, so now we're gonna read Jed, the founder of Stellar, former co-founder of Ripple. We're gonna read his reply back to that guy, David Schwartz. Um, he writes, David, I always enjoyed working with you, and I thought we had a degree of respect for each other. So I'm pretty disappointed in your tone here. I don't really want to get into a big back and forth about this, but this just isn't correct. When I left Ripple, the board was two people, myself and Chris. I left because I made the mistake of bringing Chris on as CEO, and it ended up being untenable to work with him for a variety of reasons. I feel like I've been extremely restrained in my criticism of Ripple despite the frivolous lawsuits from you guys, the constant attacks on my character and my family. I know you are actually a good person, but I think you are too deep to see how horrible Chris has acted towards me. Stellar hasn't abandoned the idea of distributing the lumens widely, and the original Facebook distribution was actually a success, but the software slash ecosystem wasn't ready for it at the time, so we stopped it. We will do something similar in the future. I don't think any attempt at an internet level protocol like Stellar or Ripple can widely be adopted with a for-profit company owning the majority of the tokens. Stellar has always been focused on cross-border payments, so the IBM announcement isn't a pivot by any means. Stellar and Ripple are going after two completely different use cases as far as I can tell, so I don't understand the continued hostility. Boom. I literally feel like this is, especially the second dream. I think the first dream about Stellar being sick and they're now recovering, I think it could be certain things that they might have had to tweak, and now XLM is recovering from those setbacks, and whatever it was considered that needed recovery, that needed fixing, they're now on their way to success. Um, and then the second dream, where I can't believe how the Holy Spirit just reveals things that you don't think are that important, and that are trivial. Um, the Lord will reveal them. I don't know these people. I don't know anything about them, but I can clearly see that there was a huge animosity in, seems like some hostility, because Jed mentioned that, going on the back end. And that's literally what I saw in the dream. Stella was a person, and Stella was previously being held back. Like, they were literally being held back, and it was by other people. And for some reason now they're not held back. Like, they've I'm thinking they've broken free from whatever was holding them back, what circumstances, whatever the people were doing to hold them back. Somehow they're no longer in those same shackles, same shambles, and they're still progressing, they're still persevering, and now their time is here. Now their time is here. With all of that being said, the Lord gave me this particular Bible verse to give to you guys when I talked about XLM and their history and how they are here now. And he said to me to tell you guys, do not despise small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin, to see the plumb line in Zerubbabel's hand. And I didn't understand what plumb line was, so I went and researched what is the definition of plumb line. And a plumb line is a tool used to ensure that construction is perfectly straight. I take this all to mean, look at Stellar's beginning. Stellar's beginning um, originated from a setback, to be honest, because if Jed was a co-founder of Ripple, and it seems like he was ousted, even though he didn't use those words. It became so difficult for him to work with this other person that he made CEO, who is now, dealing with Ripple. I don't know if that person is still dealing with Ripple, but that creating Stellar came out of a setback. It came from starting off with a project that you thought was going to be successful. Somehow it got taken away from you, and you had to start something else and tweak it and change it, but still play a role to be relevant to whatever it was that you were going to do. So it's like, if you can't necessarily beat them at at what they were doing, come up with something innovative as well, so that you remain relevant, you remain a part of whatever it is that's going to happen. You don't just give up. And the other reason why God had me put this Bible verse here is because not everybody's going to be able to jump on to every coin that is prophetically given. I urge you guys to take time with the Lord. It's better to invest um, in one thing for a period of time and then move on to the next. Because if you have a variety of different things that don't have a good amount in it, it doesn't help you as much. It doesn't pour out the same results that it would have had you been consistent with pouring into one that you felt the Lord led you to, so that you can continuously grow it, so that when this wealth transfer hits the way we believe that it's going to hit, the way that it's supposed to happen, that's going to be a huge lump sum, because you spent a lot of time building it over time, building that particular uh, crypto investment over time. But if you spread yourself out too thin, um, and something, not something, but the wealth transfer hits, you have a less likelihood of being, of hitting a good margin, because you spread yourself out too thin. So I don't want, because we see people talking about, um, oh, God showed me this particular coin, God showed me this other particular coin. It doesn't mean that you have to invest in all of them. Only the ones that God permits you to invest in wisely, number one. And then after you've invested wisely, if you want to just try something, just to try it, if you have the ability to do so, then why not? But I just want to give that precursor to understand not everything is going to be for you at that time, and God will give you other chances to invest in different things. So just be diligent and just be reasonable and use godly wisdom. And I wanted to point out this Chinese proverb that I really love. It says, Be not afraid of growing slowly. Be afraid only of standing still. That's deep. I think that's deep. And I think the reason why God had me correlate stellar with this particular Bible verse is to show you, you may take time, but you will be stellar. Good things take time. God talks about this other Bible verse that talks about how ants, they put away little by little until whatever season it is that they can't, I think they can't, is it harvest? Not harvest, but basically they put little away until there's a season that they're not able to continue um, what they were doing. But because they put away little by little, when the season comes that they don't have, they have because they've prepared within the season that they were able to get things. And so I say this to say, you don't have to be a part of everything. And if you want to, well, that's not always possible. But what you need to focus on is being stellar in the little that you have before you. Little by little, day by day, he makes all things beautiful in his time. Eventually, it will become something, and you have to appreciate the little things before it can become big. I wanted to quickly talk about what stellar means, as well as meaning in the way that it could be used, relating to stars or outstanding or excellent. Um, I just wanted to point out the definition because I also think that God is speaking to us in this moment. I think that He's saying the world is about to see what He considers stellar through us. He's about to manifest and show His glory like never before. He's going to make a way within the desert, and He's going to accelerate us where we may have been deemed to be small, irrelevant, um, maybe even crazy, and God is about to show the record straight. He's about to show what he's going to have, the manifestation of heaven on earth through us, through his glory, and through us representing him. We are about to be stellar.